after the game, Wyatt didn't seem like he was completely thrilled with the way you guys blocked, at least maybe early on, and got better throughout the game. When you guys went through film study, how did it look to you, and where can you guys maybe get better in week 2 here?
Yeah, there was definitely some things we weren't happy with. I'd be lying to you if I said it went, perfect because it didn't. There are things that need to be cleaned up, and I think honestly, it's just not so much. I would attribute it more to that just being our first game in 10 months, to be honest with you. I don't know how else to put it. It's not something that I think we're extremely worried about. I think we have confidence that it's something that they're all things that we can get fixed. Also, there's just one of those games where, as an offensive line, especially wanting to be able to run the ball, things just didn't go our way. There were a lot of times where holes were there, and Justin would pull it because he had to read to pull it and throw the screen, or just things like that. That when we did block well, it was just for whatever reason it seemed like it just wasn't hitting. But it's something that I'm not worried about. I have all the confidence in our guys that we'll get it figured out.
Thanks, man.
All right, we'll go next to Joey Kaufman from the Columbus Dispatch. Joey.
Josh, from game 1 to game 2 last year, you guys really improved in the run game last year. Season opener against Florida Atlantic had some similar issues running the ball, and then by game 2, you guys improved against Cincinnati. What do you remember about that time and kind of fixing things, and can the same thing work again?
Yeah, it just, going into the first game, you really don't know because we haven't been super live. It's playing live in practice where running back is live can be dangerous. And so it's hard to really get a hold of where you're at until you can play your first game. And we were talking about this too, me and Wyatt and Thayer were talking. It was just a weird game, and it didn't have anything to do with the fans not being there. I think it had more to do with it just being the first game in so long. And really last season when we played FAU, it was a similar kind of feel. It just didn't feel like the rest of the games. I can't explain it. I can't put my finger on what it is. But yeah, I think there'll be a lot of improvement from this past week to the next one. Plus that experience for Nick and Harry, those guys who haven't necessarily been in that situation before. Having that game of experience under their belt would be good, taking steps.
Sorry, but is there a specific or anything you felt like last year in that FAU game that you were able to translate to game 2 that you guys owned in on?
I think it was just reps and game reps. It's different in a game. And I think going back and just correcting our mistakes and getting used to being in that environment again is huge.
Thanks, Josh.
All righty, we'll go next to Bill Landis from The Athletic. Bill.
Hey, Josh, what's the key for you guys up front in terms of communicating and identifying stuff when you're playing a team like Penn State that likes to bring a lot of pressure and brings it from a lot of different places?
Yeah, communicating up front in large part is on me. In terms of the run and pass game, a lot of that is put on my shoulders. Now, it won't be a whiteout with 105,000 fans or 110,000 fans, so that'll make communicating a little bit easier this week. But I think it's just across the board. Any outside threat or outside pressure, a lot of that is relied upon the tackles to call. So in terms of communication, I think just all of us being in sync, all of us looking for the same things. If I see it, I'll make the call. But a lot of times what happens is because the tackles are already out there, they'll see it and alert it to me, and then I can make the call. So just playing together in terms of what we see pre-snap and being loud and communicative is huge.
And what did you think of Harry in his first start on Saturday? And I don't know, how much do you maybe do extra talking with a guy who's playing next to you who's making his first start?
Do a lot of extra talking. I think it was particularly special for me and Harry because Harry's my little brother in the Big Brother program that we have here. So I feel accountable and take responsibility a lot of the times for how he's doing and talking to him. So that was a special moment for me and Harry. I think he did solid. Definitely have some things to work on. All of us do, not just him. But I thought he played solid. And it's tough to have your first start be against Nebraska. It just is. He didn't have the luxury that me and Wyatt had last year where we played FAU. He was kind of thrown right into the fire, which makes it tough.
All right, next up is Doug Lemarese from Cleveland.com. Doug.
Josh, how would you describe the personal relationship that you and Wyatt have?
I would describe it as a very, very good relationship. We've become so close over the years. I think really we've been on the line next to each other for the vast majority of our careers. Our first year, not so much, but every season since then. So the last two and going on to this third season in a row, we've been right next to each other the entire time. So, we've gotten extremely close. He's one of my best friends. It's a perfect teammate relationship, honestly. We can be serious and talk about offense and what we need to do, and strategies and the way we block things. And then, be joking around after practice, not 10 minutes later, it's a great relationship.
And I know you guys work together as a full offensive line and a full offense, but you two are right next to each other. What kind of hole do you think you two might be able to blow open more than a few times this year?
I think there will be plenty of holes that me and him will blow open together. He's, when you have a player like that next to you, just me speaking on Wyatt in particular, when you have a player like that next to you, you know it. It's not, as soon as we have a double team, I'm like, okay, that's Wyatt. I can feel that it's Wyatt next to me. So yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot of things we can't make happen.
And I've toyed with trying to name the hole that you guys will make. So do you guys have a name for it, or do you think we could come up with a name for it?
We don't, but that'd be great if you guys came up with one.
We'll work on it. Thanks, Josh.
Appreciate it.
All righty, next we'll go to Andy Anders from Press Pros Magazine. Andy.
Hello, Josh. I know him being a three technique is not someone you see a whole lot at the center position, go against a whole lot in practice. But from that perspective, it really seemed like Haskell Garrett's first step and explosion is what helped him separate himself on Saturday. Can you talk, is that something you've seen from him? Can you talk about maybe how he's grown that in the run up to the season here?
Okay, I'm sorry. Could you repeat like the latter half of that question?
Yeah, just it seems like Haskell Garrett's really looked explosive and had a great first step in that game Saturday. Is that something you've seen him grow and work on as the season has begun here?
Yes, actually, funny you asked. So his first day back in pads, we ran an outside zone play, and he got my number on it. I was not ready for it, man. He came off the ball so hard. I could just tell he was so happy and excited to be back. And he came off the rock on the first day of pads, on the first set of team, and I was like, oh, my God. I don't know what all he did at home during the quarantine, but the way he came off the ball was different. It was different than the way he did before, and it's different than most players I've ever played against. So I don't know if that tells you anything, but yes, I have noticed it, very much so.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll go next to Clay Hall from WSYX with Bill Rabinowitz on deck. Clay.
Yeah, Josh, Coach talked this morning about Steel Chambers flashing a little bit, and it certainly looked like he did in the view of my amateur opinion. Have you seen him? Do you feel like he's as good as the other two? Could he be in the mix? I think he had an 8-yard average, but, maybe he was going against some backups. I don't know. But what have you noticed about his development through camp and now just the 4 or 5 carries he had this week?
Yeah, Steele has developed really well, and I think Steele's going to be a really, really good player here. To be honest with you, our running back room is really deep between Trey, Master, Steele, and Marcus coming back off that knee injury. All four of those guys can play some football now. I mean, they're going to be good football players, and it's going to be excited. I'm just excited to watch them, throughout this season. I don't know how it's all going to pan out, what kind of playing time is going to happen, but I will tell you that all four of those guys are more than capable of getting the job done.
Would you prefer the running back carry the ball than Justin, just to protect your quarterback, or does it matter?
Yeah, I would rather the running back carry it personally. I mean, I can't speak for the coaches or anyone else. That's just my personal opinion. I'd like Justin to get hit negative times the rest of the season personally.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Okay, we'll go next to Spencer Holbrook from Letterman Row. Spencer.
Josh, when you look at the expectations facing this offensive line this year and how you guys were expected to perform, how do you kind of block all that out and also look to improve based on what you saw from the first game of you guys?
Yeah, there definitely are a lot of expectations with our offensive line this season. I think there are expectations that we should achieve, to be honest with you. I think there are things that we should live up to and that we're capable of living up to. Once we start getting into the season, it becomes easier to block those kinds of things out because we're just so busy with it. We play Penn State this week. We play Penn State this week. I have class and an internship as well that I'm doing right now. So at least for me personally, I don't have time to think about anything besides doing my job, whether that be school, work, or football. So, once we get in the swing of it, man, we're just rolling.
All right, we'll go next to Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch. Bill.
Yeah, Josh, another question about Haskell. When that happened in August, how concerned was the team? How did he handle it? I don't know how quickly after the shooting you saw him, but just what was that like?
I'm not sure how they want me to, or how I should, talk about that situation with Haskell. All I'll say is that personally, I was terrified because I woke up and saw the news and had no idea what was going on, and obviously was very, very scared. I love Haskell. Our entire team loves Haskell, and we're just so thankful that he's safe, and it's a miracle he's with us, and he's playing really well too.
Yeah, to see him play the way he did on Saturday, like what was it like in the locker room? What was it like even on the field, on the sideline with you guys when you could see what he was doing?
Yeah, I didn't really I don't pay much attention to our defense during the game, right, just because, I'm in the X's and O's and trying to figure out what they're doing. But it's, a great feeling. I think the most positive mood behind that whole thing was when he won Defensive Player of the Game. It just speaks so much to Haskell as a person, and how strong-willed he is. There's nothing he can't do. Honestly, there really isn't. And so I think we were just super happy for him.
How would you kind of describe his personality?
The best personality you could ask for. An amazing guy, treats everybody super well, works really hard, knows when to handle his business and knows when to have a good time.
All right. Thanks, Josh.
All right, we got time for a couple more, and we've got quite a few hands still raised, so if we could just keep it to one question, that would be great. We'll start with Stephen Means from Cleveland.com. Stephen.
Well, I know you just talked about how you'd rather Justin not run the ball at all, but, he's going to do that. In year two of having that and kind of getting used to it, especially for you, Wyatt and Thayer, since this is you guys' second year starting with him, how have you guys gotten more accustomed to that and maybe communicating with each other when he does, have those moments when he tries to take off with his legs and make a play?
Yeah. When he does that is up to the play call and up to the read that he gets and whether or not he wants to pull it. But I will tell you for certain that when he does pull it and run, we're going to be there as soon as we possibly can. You know what I mean? As soon as he gets tackled, as soon as he gets hit, we're there, picking him up, making sure he's all right, making sure nothing's going on underneath the pile, that kind of thing. You know, there's really not a whole lot else we can do other than that. So we just try and keep them safe best we can.
We'll go to Dan Hope next. Dan.
Josh, you talked at the start about how you guys weren't happy with some of the things that your offensive line did in the first game. Is it hard when there's such a high expectation for your unit for you guys to live up to your own personal expectations?
You know, right now I'm not worried about my own personal expectations, and I think if we live up to our expectations as an offensive line unit, then I'll live up to my own personal ones. You know, that's the approach that I'm taking to it. But yeah, I mean, look, obviously we as a unit, we want to live up to those expectations more than anything in the world. And I think we will, and I think you guys will see that. So yeah.
Thanks, Josh. We'll go next to Nathan Baird from Cleveland.com. Nathan.
Hey, Josh, when could you see that Nicholas Petit-Frere had sort of turned a corner and was going to be a big impact this season?
I think at the end of last season, just the way he was playing and the way that he was handling himself, you know, he could have stepped in and played at any point last season. And he did in the Big Ten championship. But really, he could have done that at any point, probably the last quarter of the season last year. And so pretty much from that point, I was confident in Nick's ability and that he would probably win that starting spot. And man, did he play well. Whew. He played really well.
All right, next up, Tony Gerdeman from Buckeye Scoop. Tony.
You mentioned making sure there are nothing funny under the pile with Justin. Did you see any of that on Saturday? I know there was a shot maybe to his lower back at one point. Is that something that you guys have been told to be aware of, or is that just something you guys as an offensive line are trying to make sure it doesn't happen?
It's not something that we're told to do or told to be aware of, but it's something that we are sure as hell going to be aware of. I don't know if we've even talked about it, to be honest with you. I think we all just do it instinctively, maybe even. There were certain points at last season where it did happen. Things did happen underneath the pile to him, and we can't let it happen. We won't let it fly.
Thanks.
All right, and last questioner for today will be Patrick Murphy from 247 Sports. Patrick.
Josh, you talked about individual offensive linemen, but what was the cohesion like for you guys? I know that's such an important part of the front five. How did you feel with the new guys in there and just getting back out there? How'd that all go on Saturday?
Yeah, I thought it went really well. I thought we were on page with each other. I don't even know if there was an MA, to be honest with you. I don't maybe one. So cohesion, it was really well. I think our unit plays well together, and we've had enough time at this point to get used to playing next to each other. You know, I don't know how many practices it's been, padded or not. Feels like an eternity. So cohesively, I thought, you know, it went really well. And it's more just little things that we need to work on from here on out. But I think we have most things taken care of in terms of cohesion and playing with each other and just being used to each other's style of play.
Thanks.
All right, Josh, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to click on that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing, and come visit us over at BuckeyeGrove.com for all the best Ohio State information on the web.